Welcome back to My Moment. You rocking with your boy Stay Humble, and I want to thank you for tuning in. We're continuing on with this series that we started called Keep On Believing. And I said as I'm headed on my way to South Africa, this is kind of the message that I need to hear right now. So tune in with me. Last week we covered quickly Mark chapter 5, starting at verse 21, and we went through verses 21 to 24, where Jairus, this ruler of the synagogue, goes out and seeks out Jesus after hearing the stories and the healing. His daughter is sick. She's going to die if Jesus doesn't help. So he goes, he puts his faith in Christ into action by going to seek him out. And when he meets with Jesus, he tells him his story, and Jesus says, yo, I'll go. I'll come with you. But here's the amazing thing. As we look at verse 20, actually we have to start at verse 24. That's where it ends at. It says that he went with him. So Jesus went with Jairus. He had compassion on him. All right? And here's what it says. And a great crowd followed him and thronged about him. So I'm reading out of the ESV. What the heck does the word throng mean? We don't use that. At least I don't use that. I don't know. Maybe in your hood they do. But the word throng, to flock or to be present in great numbers. So you need to get the picture here. Here Jesus, he's on his way to do ministry. He's on his way to serve. He's on his way to go heal Jairus' daughter. And this crowd is just all around him. I mean, if you think of like going to a Pirates game or a Steelers game or to a concert and then trying to get out afterwards, and if you were the star rocking the show and you had your guards around you, so Jesus has his disciples around him, and then this one guy that you're going to help, and you're trying to get through this crowd, and everybody has heard of the stories, everybody has heard of this great work that you're doing, that you might be the Messiah, you might be the promised one to come and save the people from their sins. If that's the thought, if you can see that, Jesus trying to get through the crowd, and this man who's like, yo, please, I'm begging you, get out of the way, we got to get home so that he can get to my daughter. He's facing these challenges. So, verse 25, and there was a woman who had a discharge of blood for 12 years. So here, Jesus is on his way to do ministry, right? He's on his way to serve. He's on his way to bring healing to Jairus' daughter. And there's a woman in the crowd who's been bleeding. I mean, we understand what I'm talking about here. Bleeding for 12 years. And then you have to understand some things about the law back in Leviticus where it's given, I believe it's Leviticus chapter 15. You can look at verse 25 to 33. And you can see before that about, discharge for men. But anyway, it says that the woman who has this bleeding issue would have been disqualified for marriage. Because as long as she's bleeding, the marriage thing can't happen, right? So, and then not only that, but anywhere she sat would be unclean. Anywhere she slept would be unclean. Anything that she touched would be unclean, and anyone who touched her would be unclean until they went home, they bathed, and they would be unclean till the evening. Okay? So follow me here. This woman has this issue of blood. In the same way that Jairus had heard about this Jesus, this woman had heard about this Jesus. All right? And it says, and there was a woman who had a discharge of blood for 12 years, and who had suffered much under many physicians, and had spent all that she had, and was no better, but rather grew worse. So here she's trying to get this thing remedied. She's doing everything within her power and within her means to stop this bleeding issue, so she can just go on and have a normal life, so she can go on, so she can participate in the fellowship of the saints and in religious practices. And she's alienated from all of this fellowship because she has this issue of blood, and she's got to be wondering, God, what's going on? God, why am I in this position? Why aren't you hearing my cry? But she hears of a man named Jesus, and here's what happens. Verse 27, after spending her money and things growing worse, She had heard the reports about Jesus. Look at this. Remember this crowd that was thronged, right? Just wrapped around Jesus. Everybody pushing, trying to get at him. And this woman, she had heard the reports about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd. She fought her way through. And then think about as she's fighting her way through, every person that she touches, they don't know. But she knows. Each one she touches, she's making unclean until the evening. She's fighting her way through. And who had, verse 27, she had heard the reports about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his garment. She touched his clothes. So here, now listen, by faith, she touches his clothes. She takes the chance of being unclean and touching the one who she believes can make her well. Verse 28, for she said in herself, if I touch even his garment, another gospel says, even the hem of his garment, even his clothes, if I could just touch his clothes, I will be made well. Verse 29, and immediately the flow of blood dried up, and she felt in her body that she was healed of her disease. Now that's pretty interesting because it says that she reached out, touched the hem of his garment, and immediately, instead of him becoming unclean, she became clean. Instead of him becoming defiled, she becomes undefiled. And get this message, you don't need to come and bathe yourselves and get yourself all right and prepared to come to Jesus. Jesus is like, yo, come. Trust, believe in me that I can do what I said I can do. I can set you free. I can heal you. I can deliver you. I can save your soul from the pit of hell. I can give you the victory over death because I have it. See, this woman came to him and she didn't say, oh my gosh, I need to do this first, I need to do that first. She was desperate and in need and came to Jesus. And as she reached out, touched the hem of his garment, immediately the blood flow stopped. And she felt inside of her that she was made well. So next session, we'll pick up what happens after this. If you're struggling in your faith, man, and I know we took a little bit of time today, but I'm telling you guys, this is so good because this walk of faith, man, it demands from us that we trust God. It demands from us that we take risk. And ultimately, it's really not risk because we know God is in control, but we've got to overcome these barriers in our mind that keep blocking us. You know what? No, he wouldn't do that for me. No, you know what? I mean, yeah, I could see why maybe over there they got this education, or maybe over there they got some money and they have something worthy of it, but me, I'm not worthy of it. And this woman, 12 years of bleeding. And here's the great thing, yo, Jesus did ministry on his way to do ministry. Jesus did a healing on his way to do a healing. Yo, he has time for you. He's concerned about you. So thank you guys, man, for tuning into my moment, man. Go after him. Grip up the hem of his garment. This is your moment.